All right, I hit the button. Now I got to wait for Kellen to take a drink. He's not going to take a drink. They're just
I can see
silly.
myself now.
Fine, I'm just going to turn on. Fine.
What's very fun now, Brad, that you've given me the power to do certain things. The fact that I can do this or, other sort of stuff.
I have no power. I know where I rank.
You can have the power if you want.
I don't know if you want this power, Caroline. It's very, very silly.
Power just causes anxiety. That's like it's a direct correlation. I don't need it. It's cool.
Sure. That's generally why I want to give other people the powers. Oh, jeez.
What's the breaking news, Kellen?
Now. This is just going to be Kellen playing with all the new buttons.
Just an hour and 90 minutes of Kellen fucking around with StreamYard.
I just thought, I was like, banners? What are banners? This is why this is bad.
Do you have to preset the ban? Like, can you type something in and then hit, or is it always says that and it's just meant to be
you can add whatever you want.
Yeah, is it like a DJ thing, or can you do something with it?
Now he's going to fiddle with it.
Now he's going to fuck with it.
What a way to bring in the new year.
I know.
Kellen playing with new toys. There you go.
Almost. There's a typo, but okay. DD.
Well, there you go. I was trying to get it out there.
When you do things on the fly, sometimes there's going to be typos.
Yeah.
Never.
That's valid. Anyway, what's going on, guys? How you doing?
Oh boy.
It's been a while.
It has.
We sort of
we
gave
all
up,
kind of
for the last
out
month
in December,
or so.
Didn't we? I did. Yeah. Let me tell you,
I feel like giving up. Y'all, we got to be honest with ourselves, right? This is not about giving up. It is about saying the last leg of the year, we're just trying to keep our heads on. We're all doing our own thing. We all stayed in touch. It wasn't like we quit on each other. We're all hanging out, still trying to do those things. And again, sometimes Brad, you had all those Marvel movies you had to watch.
I had to. It was a requirement. I had
still
to get
haven't
incredibly
finished
high and watch a lot of Marvel.
Behind on everything.
I think to me, especially during the holidays, and I think just about the end of the year, it's just let's just try to keep our head on. And again, Caroline, when you said, "Hey, let's do this," I'm like, "Yes, start of the new year.
I know.
Let's do this."
This is us going back to the gym.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yes. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, if nothing else, it is nice to socialize. It's nice to talk with you both when there's so many things that none of us can control. It's nice just to be able to say, well, you know what? We got this. That's all that matters.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's much more.
We did have people over for New Year's. That was nice.
Oh, how was that?
It was really fun.
Yeah.
Actual people.
Yeah.
Weird.
Bonkers. As usual, I make friends by letting my husband make friends, and then I just attach onto the people that they bring.
Well, that's fun.
That's usually how it works, since he's got Goonhammer and meets people through Warhammer in the area. Then if they have partners or I don't know, something, or if they hang out in a capacity that is not just playing Warhammer, then I'm just like, hello. I am also here. Let's talk about stuff.
Of all of the partners that you're meeting, are all of them in a similar sort of state of, well, this makes them happy, so I'm going to support them?
For the most part. I have yet to meet a couple that both do it. It's usually me hanging out with someone's partner that's just they play, I'm here, it's fine. And you do the kind of acknowledgement of this is awkward, but it's fine, we'll get there. And some people are cooler than others, so yeah.
Some people are cooler than others. That's no truer statement.
Yeah. I've forgotten how to person though. I cannot even be bothered to talk. This is how Brad must feel all the time.
I'm trying, especially right now, because after the month that I had being completely alone, I do not know how to person.
Do you even talk? Do you know what I mean? I will end up talking to myself because like I'll watch YouTube stuff about drama or something and just talk about it as though I'm talking to someone. I will do that. I'm prone to that. But I don't know. It's like having people in my space and it's just so awkward. Like, thankfully, that's why I made a TikTok about it, because I was just like, I was literally like, I'm so tired. I'm so sorry to someone who came over and she was like, I just want to play on my phone. She was like, you're the best. Thank you. And we genuinely get along.
Wonderful. Caroline, if I can compliment you, I don't think I've done this officially. Your TikToks always are great. Like, I have never
I don't feel that way about them. So
I've not seen you make a TikTok. There are certain TikToks I don't understand, but like once I get the joke, then I'm like, oh, that's great. That's great. Like how do you, I know we're going to talk about other stuff. I guess this is like sort of the lead into it, but like what allows you to keep making stuff and also have stuff hit and work within the platform, but also still be like making stuff for yourself? And I don't see it as very niche-y. I don't see you as like playing the TikTok game. I see you as like, no, you just make this stuff. And when it blows up in a really genuine way.
Oh, yeah. So there is an element of it where like my profession comes into it, where I'll be like I will not make something unless I like it. But there are some things that I don't think are gonna do, or I'll say that I don't have a niche in the sense that my brain cannot just do one thing.
Sure.
And it's like, yeah, you're gonna get. I've been like, I'll get into patterns where I'm like, my brain is always thinking in mom mode, so I'm gonna make a bunch about rice, or I make a bunch of ADHD ones or something like that, and then it'll be like the solid snake one, like that was I saw someone else. Usually it's based in me seeing someone else do a really good one, because like I have to hear the sound, think about like the type of like, okay, the sound could be this. And sometimes I think in my mind, like I'll hear something and I'll think, or I'll remember a reference and be like, oh, that would be really good in this context. And then I might just go get the sound myself and do it myself. But most of the time I'm seeing someone else and how they've utilized it, and I might really like the sound. And then I will just go through the entire sound and literally like look at one after the other, until something kind of comes to mind that fits into what my general thing is. And not all of them do. And some of them are random, but still do well. Like the clinkly noise one, where it's from like, so I did the jungle reference, that was very random out of left field. It's just what came to mind, because like that's what I think of when I think of like people. It's like, oh no, you eat a person. Like, I don't know, that just came to mind. So yeah, I usually just go through the sounds, but then the marketing piece will come in, because I'll look at how new is the sound, how recently has the sound been used in a way that really blew up. Some sounds you'll see coming back. Yeah. It depends on your For You page though. Also, I've noticed, like, obviously not, some people just never hear sounds because you're in a completely different part of TikTok, you know? Yeah. So there are times where I maybe will choose not to use a sound because I think that the algorithm will not favor it enough. And I'm just like, and if I love it, I love it. And then I don't care. Yeah. Or if I get like a really good idea, and then all I do is either film it right then, or I will, if I do have a good idea for it, what I've been tending to do is just like it says like use the sound. And then as the sound is going, I videotape myself mouthing like picklebacks. You know what I mean? Like it's whatever the thing is that will remind me later. And then because it's in my drafts, then it's like, what are all these fucking drafts? Like I have to go through them and then like, oh, okay, right. And then I'll film the thing.
Yeah. I'm very similar with the drafts. I have probably dozens and dozens of drafts of TikToks that I will never make. But what I would hear a sound, and then I play the sound, and then I'm either talking at it or I'm sort of like miming what it would be. And then I'll go through, I'm like, oh, I know what that is. I'm like, I could remake it today.
Yeah. But you can't wait too long on those. Ideally, if you see something that's really big, and I realize like if I see something that's like a viral video that's really good, that has a sound I like, and the sound was posted in the like last week, like do it right then. Because the algorithm will favor that.
Yeah.
So it's, or at least in my experience, it will.
Yeah.
And the algorithm will naturally respond to people haven't seen it, right?
Mm-hmm.
What you don't want, and this is also part of it, when you think about the structure of the video, there are going to be ones that you don't want to create a video that someone can predict the end to.
Yeah.
If the punchline of the audio is the same word, is the same phrase, that's trickier to do later, because eventually all people need to see is your front text, and then they know what the end of the video is going to be because they know what the audio is. So those you have to do really, really quickly. Otherwise, people aren't going to watch them till the end. It kills your watch time, and then it kills the video. Yeah. So so it's a balance between like that part of my brain and this would be funny.
Yeah.
Or just shit posting directly to a single person that will completely alienate the rest of your audience. Yes. Like when you eat a piece of buttered toast and don't explain it to anybody.
Yes.
Pretty good.
It's amazing.
I was pretty drunk when I did that. But it was a measured attack. I don't usually, I'm really glad that actually, oh, by the way, at Kellen, that video, the latest video I posted, that's the real audio I hear. Oh, I got her to do the notification aloud, and I screen grabbed it, and that's where that came from. So that's the actual notification I get every time if I have my earbuds in. I keep saying earbuds as a combination of AirPods and earbuds.
Earbuds, yeah. No.
Every time I have my AirPods in, if I'm listening to something, or if like I'll just pause and I'll say Snapchat, like that exact thing, and I'm like, okay, yep.
That's why I don't have notifications turned on for Snapchat just for that specific reason, so.
Yeah, I would have to turn them off entirely, which I could, but I like the way she sounds. She's funny, so it doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
So good.
TikTok's been a little crazy lately.
Yeah, what a beautiful, beautiful transition.
Thank you. Segue queen. And I have a good thing I want to highlight, and then like a bad thing I want to highlight that I feel like would be interesting to discuss. So the good thing, let's start with the positive. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Brookline. I think it's Brookline. I'm not sure if it's Brooklyn or Brookline or some other pronunciation I'm entirely not saying. She's like a 17-year-old girl. And she was the one who was doing a lot of dancing with crop tops, responding to people fat shaming her because she has like a little tummy. Like, it's dumb. She has a tummy. Oh my God.
How human.
I know.
Oh my God.
Literally a child. Like,
she is contained within a human body.
Ridiculous, right? And she's like purely positive. Like, I have never seen anything. She's one of those like huge creators who's a young girl. And she just does like POVs, and she does like makeup, the ones that are like, it'll be like the shot of her from the side acting out something, and it's lip sync POV type things and like story type things for the most part. And then she started doing dancing in response to that. She gets like an inordinate amount of hate. She has like anti-fans, I guess you'd call them. And I don't know why, genuinely, other than that, like probably just kids being shitty.
It's high school. Yeah. Why do people hate other people in high school? I don't know.
Yeah. So she has like millions of followers. And so she's got a pretty big, like, just people who are shitty to her. And people, so I'll tell this from the perspective of me, who instead of her perspective. So I was just, I don't know, on the app at some point. I don't remember when, last couple months. And I saw something from her, and I've always known she's been big, but it was like a promo, I think. It was like a song that she had come out with. And I thought like, okay, she's like Bella Poarch or something. She's like, pivoting Addison, right? I don't know. These people, she's like pivoting into something. And I was like, okay, I didn't really know she sang. So I'm watching this clip, and I don't remember if it was an ad for her or like just her own video. And it was her singing a song called My Crown. You know what? With nothing else, can we go ahead and play the song or play the music video? Because sure. I would like.
Yeah.
Kellen, hit some buttons.
I think that would be an excellent multimedia addition to the stream.
This is Brookline, right?
Yeah, Lynne, I think is how it's spelled.
Yes, and then E.
My Crown.
My Crown
Cute
official
girl.
music video. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
There we go.
I actually haven't seen the full thing, so now I'm really excited.
I'm buying diamonds, buying gold, I work for myself. Might be emotional, but I'm better than everyone else. 10 million people love to love me sweet like caramel. And all the haters don't know that I got them under a spell. Baby, baby, I'm no damsel, I'm just too hot to handle. POV, you're trying really hard to get me cancelled. And I might be a handful, because I got my hands full. Industry plan, I love my fans, and I love a good scandal. My crown, everybody wants a piece of my crown. You need to calm down, tear me down. You sound jealous, that's sweet, but you'll never get a piece of my crown. Oh, 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 oh. You'll never get a piece. Oh, oh. You sound jealous, that's sweet, but you'll never get a piece of mine. I'm in a castle with my ring light and my makeup. Kings in my line, but I will never have that fake kind of love. Come get your man, it sounds like you're about to break up. Ooh. Baby, baby, I'm no damsel, I'm just too hot to handle. POV, you're trying really hard to get me cancelled. And I might be a handful, because I got my hands full. Industry plan, I love my bands, and I love a good scandal. My crown, everybody wants a piece of my crown. You need to calm down, tear me down. You sound jealous, that's sweet, but you'll never get a piece of my crown. Oh, 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 oh. You'll never get a piece. Oh, oh. You sound jealous, that's sweet, but you'll never get a piece of mine. There ain't nothing cute about trying to break me. You need to calm down, I can handle it, baby. Yeah, I'm just doing me, and you look freaking crazy. My crown, everybody wants a piece of my crown. You need to calm down, tear me down. You sound jealous, that's sweet, but you'll never get a piece of my crown. Oh, 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 oh. You'll never get a piece. Oh, oh. You sound jealous, that's sweet, but you'll never get a piece of my crown.
Aw.
So, because she gets a lot of hate, and like,
I thought she was going to murder everyone in the end.
Right, Bill Carey style.
Yeah, I'm like,
what did he do?
He hit the wrong button and he left the entire stream. I'm sure he'll be back in a second.
Come on, Kellen. What are you new?
See if he can figure out how to add himself back in. Nope, that's not
Was
it.
that you or him?
That's him. Should we just wait to see if he works it out?
Just wait.
Okay.
Until he cries for help.
Buttons, Kellen. He can hear
Discord.
us, so it's fine.
okay, hold on.
There we go.
He's back.
Get it? Right.
There we go.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. That music video is really weird.
It
It's
is.
pretty weird, right? And the song is also not that great.
No, I mean, there's a little bit of an ear bug in there. I'm kind of humming it, but I don't know. It's weird.
All right, hold on. Now
Okay.
I want you to play this video.
Okay.
I'm going to put it in. Wait, I guess I can put, there's a chat. Okay. Now play this. Because she released the song and the music video, and then she had a whole album that came out. And this video, I think, came out when the album came out.
All right.
And she promoted it for like a month, like a long time.
And this is the TikTok. We're watching this TikTok, right?
Correct.
I'm trying to figure out.
I don't know if it's going to give all the information the way that the one I originally found was or did. But it should give us the gist of what I'm trying to get across here.
record just pulled a prank on all of us. She released her song My Crown along with a music video 10 days ago that got over 2 million views. People didn't like the song and she got bullied for it. Then she released the video yesterday talking about how the whole thing was fake and she was just trolling the internet. I don't know why there's so much bullying going on lately, but I thought her song was great and she's honestly a marketing genius for this one. This TikTok.
So the better video that I couldn't find is from a reporter. And the reporter was working with her and said, she came to me and she had a behind the scenes, like this was from the get, like dated back. So it's not like, oh, people didn't like my song, let me just go ahead and say it was a joke. She was like, I'm going to do this. I don't want a singing career. I don't give a shit. But everyone wants to hate so hard on almost anything that like a 17-year-old girl does, right? Like, and so she's like, I'm going to make this song and it's going to be functionally harmless, but it's going to be kind of bad. Like the lyrics are cringy as hell and the video is really corny and the singing is bad. Like it's incredibly like auto-tuned, off-pitch, you know, it's how I would sing. I couldn't even sing that well, but it's bad. And she wanted to see if, you know, like what she basically was just like, fine, like I'm just going to prank all of you and see if you fall for this or not. When she released the album, it was nothing but re-edits of the song. It's just that song. And it's like a million different versions and like one in Spanish.
That
and
level
like,
of...
it's just pettiness. It's one of the most brilliant. It was described as a piece of performance art that happened over like 8 months. And I love this so much. And there are so many people who are now, of course, like and she did all these interviews where she's like, nobody would think about that. Everyone thought it was serious because no one thinks a 17-year-old girl is smart enough or clever enough to do something of this magnitude. And no one believes me. And I knew no one would believe me, which is why I had somebody documenting it the whole way. Like, I'm in love. It is because like my immediate response was like, when I saw it, I was like, oh, yeah, it's not that good. Like that was it. And then I moved on with my day. But her point is like, people went in on this like so bad. Like, well,
it's so baited. That's the thing. Like everyone's reaction to it. Like when I'm watching it, I'm like, this feels so much like a trap. Like it really does feel that way of like, who reacts this way?
Right.
Like,
and people got like, they all fell for it. Like so many people. And now tons of people are trying to be like, oh, I knew what she was doing. I didn't know what she was doing. I thought she was just, but the difference is I responded by being like, okay, well, that sucks, but okay. You know,
right.
Like it sucks that the song isn't good. Like, I don't care what she does with her life. I want her to be successful. But like, bummer, the song's not good. You know what I mean? But like Build a Bitch, I thought was actually pretty catchy. So I was hoping for something, new music. Yay. But I didn't like, why? The amount of time and effort people put into shitting on people, specifically young girls. And that was kind of the point, is she's like, everyone would go in on this because even though it's functionally harmless, they can't, they can't just let me live, And I am so impressed and I am proud. Not my child. I don't know. It's fabulous. Everything about it's fabulous. I love her even more. And it's great. And then on New Year's Eve, I was on TikTok just scrolling and I follow her backup account. And she was doing a bunch of friends only posts talking with her followers on the backup account about okay, how about this? I'm going to do a full emo reveal on New Year's Day and do some really 10 videos in one day. And I'm going to find, what do I need to wear? She, I don't know how this happened, but she was doing another kind of thing like that. So clearly she's smart and she likes thinking about these types of things. And she seems like just a genuinely nice and smart person. I don't know. And it was just one of the best things I've ever seen.
The only negative thing I can say about this, because I'm agreeing with you, I'm impressed by all of it. I love the nature of it. I love her ability to sort of satirize herself and her haters that way. The only thing that I'm struggling with, and this is a very me thing, is there's a level of affluence that's sort of coded in this that is really hard for me to swallow as genuine. I believe that she set everything up. I totally buy that.
Well, the music video is pretty low production, but
it's
obviously, like a normal person could not do this. That's why.
No.
Like,
I mean, that's still probably $100,000 to make that music video.
Yeah,
like it's not cheap.
Yeah, I don't think that bothers me though. Like, I don't think her living at her affluency level bothers me. Do you know what I mean? Like?
Yeah, I guess
because it's a statement. Like it's, but is it even if she's not going to have a music career, is it then a waste or is it art?
See, that's what I was like, that's the hard part of it for me. If it's art, then it's like, oh, this is so interesting, but like I would want to know more about it. But if it's just a fuck you, then it's sort of like you got one on your haters, but also you spent $100,000 to say fuck you to a bunch of kids. Like, I guess,
but she is also a kid.
She is absolutely a kid.
So it's kind of like that doesn't bother me. Like rich people doing dumb shit with their money is like a thing that's just kind of is what it is. She utilized, I will say, a lot of service. It was not just buying gold.
Yeah.
So I will say that. I get what you're saying in terms of like it's a little distasteful in that way.
Yeah, like
but
rich people dunking on.
He's rich.
I guess that's the thing. Is like that's what I'm wondering because there's a part of me that just feels like, is this a rich person dunking on other people, or is this a rich person who is making a political and artistic statement?
I don't know that it's a political statement, but I definitely lean toward it being an artistic statement. She's not from money that I'm aware of. Like any money she has and did this with is because of what she's made on TikTok. So it's not this is not someone who grew up that I'm aware of in that and affluency. So it's one of those things where it's like this is going to be, and regardless, given that she is a public figure who appears to want to be in this type of space, this goes on her resume. This is a thing that she's done from a job perspective because
absolutely
her job is to exist. You know what I mean? So I think it's a little bit of a dunk, but it also sends a really strong message about like what teenage girls can accomplish on their own.
Yeah.
And I like to think that, well, getting around, I don't have a good answer for the money thing. It probably isn't a great use of money, but I've never been one to have particular qualms about that. Like,
yeah. And I understand
she's not setting it on fire because
she's not,
so
I'm trying to understand that for myself. I'm like, why is the money thing so hard? And I guess that's like you saying that this is all money that she's made from TikTok makes me like it more. I guess there's a part of me that is like, if this is another rich white girl using mom and dad's money to make a music video, and even if you can package it as like, oh, this I'm making this artistic statement, you're still Grimes. You're still like so many.
Wow. Harsh.
I have seen nothing to imply she's a capitalist. So like, I need you to like think before you slander, please.
I will absolutely. I'll get into that.
Potentially slander.
Potentially slander. I'm more saying that we rich people, and again, this. Why I don't want to change this into let's talk about art again. We already
yes, you do.
Part of me does, but this is what money can do, and money allows you to say, oh, it's art, right? And you two bring that up a lot. In fact, I think a lot of your criticisms about what is art, I think there is inherently a level of, well, if I am wealthy, I can do something and claim that it's art, and other wealthy people will just say, well, yes, I guess it is, because you're one of our class and we respect what you're doing, and we get to sort of play and have a fun time this way. I'm also challenging myself to think about if this was a young man who was doing this, would I be so critical of the money thing? There is something so interesting for me about like I think about like when Bo Burnham first came out. Like I was really skeptical of him when he first came out because I was like, I didn't like when he was brand new on YouTube. I was very, very hesitant to really like what he was doing. It seemed very sticky. I liked some of the songs. I liked what he was doing.
Confession, I didn't know him until his probably a Comedy Central special or something along those lines. That was my first introduction, was probably mid-teens.
And you look back and you're like, this is a teenager who is on the internet and is very infancy, and he's saying things that are pretty yucky right now. And he's luckily done the work and come back and said, no, I shouldn't have said, not shouldn't have said it, but being like, I'm a teenager. Of course I said dumb shit like this, right?
Yeah, more recent interviews with him, he's always like, oh God, I don't know what I was thinking, but I can't undo it. And
you can't undo it.
Whatever.
And he owns it rather than being like, oh, it's fine. He's like, no, it's not cool. It's not cool. But also, what else? Like, I am who I am. I don't know. I think there's a level of, and this is just, I guess, criticism I have about TikTok in general of, to me, the people who I see really, really blowing up on TikTok all happen to be of a certain economic class. And I believe, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, I don't have any empirical data to sort of prove this. I believe that TikTok is looking for people who are projecting a certain lifestyle, and they like that, right? People with big homes, big cars, lots of outfits, lots of time, certain sort of body type. And
this is the part where I would jump in.
Please,
I have an opinion. So I could be totally wrong about this. Let me preface, because I'm about to say some shit.
Set me straight.
No. It's not. I'm going to say some shit that could be very wrong, could be stupid, but I don't think TikTok makes choices. I don't think there is a team at TikTok that is doing that. I think the algorithm is making the choices. And I think the algorithm is making the choices on more than just it's going to be a very complex combination of what's popular where you are based on watch time, specific levels of engagement, like a share versus a duet versus like a stitch of a stitch of a stitch, etc. And it is able to detect even slightly preferences among the different demographics and among the base and amplify them. I think the algorithm is just incredibly good. And people, especially young people who dominate this app, want to see thin, attractive, white, rich people.
Yeah, absolutely.
White, because
fair skin.
There are
we can say fair skin.
We could say fair skin. The standard, the biases of our inherent bias, combined with just the things as a teenager you wanted to be, to you felt less than, the things we as a society are naturally going to gravitate toward is going to be functionally 16 to 20-year-olds with abs, and who look rich. Because in a rich area, you will naturally spend more time watching someone in that than you will, and it might be imperceptibly different for some people. But that algorithm, I'm very confident based on we work in the industry. We talk to TikTok. I feel pretty good because they're always they sound confused whenever you ask them, but also the level of expertise you would need. They're just not people. I don't believe there are people. I believe there are people at TikTok who are, I think the algorithm is not free of bias. And I think that's a big reason that,
I guess that's more what I'm saying. Cause I agree with you. It's a lot of the empirical bias of the viewers, but I also think the people who made the algorithm are looking for something very, very.
I think the algorithm is learning. And I think the algorithm learns us, and we as a society are telling it what we want to see. I
would agree with that for the most part, but TikTok still does have a bunch of dials that they could be tweaking to help the algorithm not be actively evil.
Because
they
choose
not to because it makes them more money.
Yeah, correct. That's the thing. It's the lack of intervention. That's how you have when they say if somebody says something mean to me and I duet it and just read it, suddenly I'm bullying, but they're not. Because the algorithm focus on comments is not going to be nearly as rigorous as a video. So if you read someone's malicious comment, there's an odds are that the algorithm has not caught one, but it will absolutely catch that video. And so since it's usually people in power taking the first shots at these bullying things, at like attacking people online or any of that shit. The people who naturally feel more entitled and are part of the existing power structure are the ones who are going to make those barbs. It ends up being shitty white people saying shitty things, shitty white men for the most part, saying shitty things to women and POC. And then those people respond and are like, what the fuck? Yeah. And because it's a video, it is held to a different standard, and it leans toward going after the person responding, defending themselves, who is more likely to be a marginalized group in one way or another. So it's not Tay, but like it could be Tay. Do you guys remember Tay? I'm sorry, this is a reference that I just make out of nowhere. The Twitter bot. It was an AI on Twitter that responded and like built a personality around what they actively told people to tweet at Tay to. Well, that's not she was a full-on Nazi within like maybe 24 hours. Like it was bad. It was really bad. And that was the thing. And I wrote a LinkedIn article about how, this is the problem when you let AI take too much. You have to have more. It's not a human, and it's not going to think about things the way a human will think about it. And I'm going to be quoted in the future fucking robot wars as the reason that we're doing that when I say this now. But, they're amazing machines, but they are never going to be thinking about that. You just can't, we don't understand it, so we can't program it. Yeah. So we have to have somebody who maybe doesn't quite understand, hasn't fully dismantled their internalized racism, but they understand that looks wrong.
It's a bad one.
I don't know. It just doesn't. And we can't program that right now. And I think that is the reason that it's a problem. And to Brad's point, I think TikTok we think of is like, this is how big, and it's like, it's probably this.
Oh, sure. It's like three monkeys in a room with a bunch
of it's not as sophisticated as and so they just don't have the they probably don't have the workforce necessary.
I will say this, and because we work in the industry, I'll say this. They are aware of they're trying to sell ad time, right? The same way that YouTube is trying to sell ad time. And I do think that they are able to tweak some dials to say, what can we do to make sure that this platform is spicy, but not too spicy? And
I don't think they're that involved. I don't think they're that capable. I got into this conversation with a bunch of people of my fellow Pokemon Go players about Niantic. Niantic is not as capable as they think it is. They think that, if you do this way, then they're going to notice that you're not buying passes or something, or they're going to, I think they're choosing to give back when you had to get elite, remember elite, right? Yeah. When you had to get an elite pass, they're giving the elite passes more to the people who haven't logged in as much in the most recent 30 days to try and lure them back. I'm like, guys, I had a glitch that was a well-known glitch happen, and I lost a raid pass. And I emailed support and was like, hey, this is what happened. And they were like, I can see here that you bought raid passes. So, okay, I guess we'll give you a raid pass. They are not they're not there. No. It's just not there. We think it's like, I bet if they were to the people who work at these companies, hearing people talk about the super sophisticated, I mean, it must be like listening to someone talking about how now that you use this technology, they're going to hear you through the whatever, like the 5G in your brain level Kellen, of talking.
Let me push back on this in terms of selling ads, right? If I am a brand, let's say Brad's got his I don't know why Brad's got a sportswear company, right? That's what Brad does.
That seems totally
what I think of when I think of Brad.
Exactly. Right? He comes to you who works at TikTok. He's like, hey, I'm trying to sell to a certain demographic, right? Great. TikTok needs to create an environment where Brad can sell to that demographic. Is TikTok as insidious as YouTube is about making sure that people need to have a video that's a certain length or everything? No, but I do think TikTok is at least aware that they're trying to be a revenue generating platform, and they're trying to lure more and more advertisers onto TikTok. I would love to hear about the types of ads you both see, because the ads I see are absolutely insane, where I'm like, I don't know who TikTok thinks I am. I don't know why they put these ads in front of me.
It's probably at this point, they've just opened this platform in any real major way. My agency has only seen like presentations from TikTok in the last like 6 months. And I mean, we are not the ones buying the media directly, but like, to me, I knew they had ads, and I'm sure at first it was just ads, you know, and the algorithm, to your point though, they're trying to, let me just say this first and then I'll clarify as far as like the back end. I'll do it the other way. I'm just kidding. The back end, I think right now it's probably like, if it was age based, that would be like, I'd be like, yeah, probably. Like, I don't think it's as, they might be starting to incorporate the elements of like how your profile, like if you have like the equivalent of like a Google profile based on. I
think they do. I think they're absolutely, there has to be some sort of avatar there that is
it's
like.
It's going to be, right. And so how well set up their back end is to be able to filter ad serving toward a group as defined by what's probably an entirely separate server. I don't know where they're at. I'm sure they're working to make that better and better all the time. No, right now, though, to me, they're so early in the stage of, I think it like they're at step 2. Step 1 is serve ads of any kind to anyone at all on the platform. And step 2 is basic targeting. So I imagine that you're getting targeted purely based on your age, and potentially if they are really smart, then they can search your profile for the word, like your bio. Or like your biological sex.
They have to have some sort of like, I mean, if you can link it to your email, then there's some sort of Google tag manager that's connected to it, right? Like there's something that's happening where there's other tags that they're probably pulling in, that it's maybe not TikTok doing it, but they're pulling that empirical data in either from your email or for another social account that's pulled in, if it's Facebook or Instagram.
No,
so?
That is not happening. Let me just be as someone who looks at this data all the time, absolutely not. You cannot link through someone's data. So someone's email address, you're getting, that's called PII, right? Okay. So my agency cannot touch PII of any kind.
Because of like customer privacy stuff?
Because, well, GDPR probably, we're just not GDPR prepared. We just store it the correct way. And like, no. So like we have a CRM agency, customer relationship management agency.
Welcome to marketing, by the way, with Caroline.
Not what I intended.
Oh, no, and I'm like, let's get into it.
Brad's like looks bored as per usual, but he's probably entertained. So like you risk. It's not that we can't. If we risk a lot by taking in personalized data because of the level of protection we would want to give it. We don't theoretically have to always like do GDPR fully, but like we do just to be safe because we're a global company.
Exactly. Yes.
So even if the client's in the U.S. and the data's in the U.S. and everything's in the U.S., we still GDPR.
Well, you still have California Consumer Privacy Act. You still have Castle in Canada. You still have GDPR. I mean, there's so if the U.S. isn't doing it, there's still ways in which you're supposed to be doing it to a certain standard.
Even like really, like there will be companies I've seen. Companies say like a CPG company where they have a bunch of brands underneath them. And I have seen that brands have come to us and been like, yeah, we do have customer databases, but it's like different by brand. And we haven't linked them, or that they don't have anything functional at all. Like that within the last 2 years. Like it is not, or I'm sorry, within the last 5 years, before the world ended. So like I've seen like that has happened recently, that people do not have customer data platforms in any kind of real shape most of the time. Usually it's not as involved, like things are in different formats and like, or something, it's unstructured for some reason. Like there's something, there's something wrong. Like the basic is there, but the idea that you'd be violating a lot of privacy things. Like a lot of people who don't talk would have to talk, and all the consumers would have to be cool with it for you to know that this email account is associated with this name and this social account.
Yeah. Sure. They don't need to though. In the case of TikTok, for the same reasons, Caroline, that you think the algorithm is so good, they just do the same thing with ads. It's not a separate system. It doesn't need to track individual bits of information about somebody.
No, but I'm saying
the exact same way.
And that could be it. They could have just mirrored it.
Mhm.
And then I guess, then they might. You've got me thinking about like the tag structure now and how they would track it, because they'd
It's the
probably end up
same
having.
reason that you track people's use of the dark web. You don't track individual people. You just track the information around what they're searching for, browser sizes. There's all kinds of information that doesn't have anything to do with privacy from a legal standpoint, but you can still kind of figure out what people are looking for.
And I guess you're right, Caroline. I mean, like, it's not like Facebook or Google is going to play nice with TikTok. They're direct competitors, right?
Exactly. And TikTok is poised to be another walled garden. So I don't see any reason why, like, especially like if it was an American company, maybe something could happen there, but not as a Chinese company. I just don't see it happening. But here, so Brad, the reason I don't think they're doing it, what you're describing is based around if they were doing contextual ads or or like behavior, like targeted ads. I don't think they are.
They definitely are in at least some countries, because I get a lot of ads that are definitely targeted to me.
Okay, I do not feel like I do. Scams, I mean, you've seen the wedding dress coffin ad. I got that. And I guess because it was Houston, so like, okay, region, but that's what I'm talking about is like, I think it's demographic and region, like solid cuts of, if you live in this area, you get this ad. If you are this age range, and
I definitely get ads targeted like specifically for autistic merch or just random.
No, that's a good point. And that's what I'm saying is I think
I've looked at on TikTok.
I think they're getting better. I will say I have seen like ADHD ads and stuff.
So what about this though? And this is, again, I'm just asking this more for speculation. I see a lot of ads for Apple Watch wristbands, right? Now, that could be, I happen to be a certain demographic that they're assuming, hey, this person probably has an Apple Watch because they have an Apple phone. Or is this a situation where, I mean, I don't think Apple's telling them that I have an Apple Watch, but they can probably know that the app could send notifications to my watch.
Yeah, so it would be a basic, he has an Apple product, send Apple ads. Like, I think it's a bunch of, it's still, I think, just a bunch of cuts that you're overlapping on.
Yeah.
You know? And do you fit in that box for that one advertiser or not, based on, like, I don't think it's there might be like tags associated with you in your back end, again, like Google.
Yeah.
But I feel like the TikTok ones do update better. Those tags very well could already be incorporated. I don't know if it would update it. If they're doing the content-based stuff, I think it's newer because initially it was definitely very random. And then I think like just in terms of how we would set it up, like the next thing you can easily cut is like information they have to put in to be, you know, like as part of a form, right?
Yeah.
That stuff you've already got stored somewhere. The stuff about the really complicated like profile stuff, they'd have to be storing it. And I don't know if they would be, or if the algorithm would be calculating it on an instant by instant. I don't know that would make the most sense, but I could see, because of how fast it evolves, it could be simpler.
The laziest way would be to use one of the algorithmic ways. So TikTok, I imagine, is doing it the laziest way possible.
Yeah. So anyway, all that to say, I don't know for sure if she came from money. I don't think she did, though.
Yeah, I was like, how do we start talking about this? You're absolutely right. We do. I just look at that video and I'm like, that's a pretty well-made video.
No, it's not.
Well, I will say this.
Well, kind of. I get what you mean.
It could be bad. It could be bad. But in fact, in general, I was like, this is like for a low, quote unquote, low budget music video. I mean, it's not, it's better than Friday, right? Like it's, you know, there are way worse videos that are out there that are like,
so
the cameras would have been so much more expensive back then.
Sure. I will say it's not ARC. What a glow up on her, by the way. It's not that much better. It's a small set, right? They went to a high school somewhere,
and it's
or they
clearly
had
all of her friends. Like there's
probably her friends.
Because I was just looking in general. I was like, this is a very white music video. This is the first thing I was like, man, everybody in this music video is white. I'm in the fucking teacher. Can we talk about the teacher? The teacher who's like,
I was not paying attention.
Oh, I have to. I have to. Like, what's the story they're trying to tell? And I'm like, why does everyone hate this person? That's the first thing I said. I was like, why does everyone hate it? And that was the thing that I said. I was like, there's nothing about this music video tells me why everyone hates you.
We still don't know. People just like to hate on her.
They just like to hear, and that second person, like the sort of the person with sort of the makeup and the jewelry, I assume like, oh, this is when we're going to see it flip, and we're going to see all the people who like her. And no, this person also hates her. And I was like, no, this is weird. Like this is weird. And it's also weird that she compares herself to Carrie in the end. Like this is where I get into, and I'm going to kind of get in a tiny soapbox for a second. Yeah. I don't know if we can give her all the credit for this, because there's just a part of me that just doesn't believe from the music video that this is all her vision, right? Like this is the same thing of like you look at Beyonce and you're like, oh gosh, Beyonce's so talented. Oh gosh, Taylor Swift.
There's a behind the scenes YouTube video you can watch
of her coming up with all this, being like, I want to do Carrie and I want to do all of this.
Oh, I haven't watched the whole thing, so I don't know.
Well, I'm going to watch the whole thing because I'm skeptical of it being like, I don't want to give her all that artistic credit. I want to be like,
yeah, no, but to me, that doesn't matter. The exact references if she says, this is the vision of what I want this to look like, and people help her fill in the pieces, I don't care what icing's on the cake. That's fine. Like, it didn't have to be a Carrie. That didn't make or break it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, it could have been any number of things. She probably was like, I want something like, if it was going to end up at prom, Carrie's a natural thing to be like, it ended at prom. The prom in 5 minutes thing was funny. Yeah. I thought that was actually legitimately clever. But she was probably like, oh, they were like, oh, okay, what are the cheaper options of what you would do? Oh, okay, a school, you guys are in high school, it's fine. Maybe it's you're being bullied, and then, it's like a teen movie, you end at prom. You know what I mean? That's not, I don't find there was anything in there that was so, it was probably just an easy thing that was cheap that they could all do and it'd be fun.
And I'm applying my own desire to be an auteur in this, as opposed to and again, this leads into
learning so much about you tonight.
Come on, existential auteur, let's please. That's what makes me feel like, yeah, she just paid people to do this for her. Now, does this mean that she didn't have the idea? Absolutely. She's very much like Andy Warhol. Andy Warhol had many, many ideas, and he paid lots of people to make these ideas real, right? There's so many people who are quote unquote artists.
Well, she did sing it though. She may not be, she doesn't want to be a singer or songwriter or anything. So if she had somebody help write the song, which I do think she did, because that person's on TikTok, and that person's version of the song sung well is also on the album.
Yeah.
So good. I don't know. That's mostly actually what I want to know, is if the album was her idea. Did that come from her? No, let's make a bunch of different versions, and it's just the song. It's just the one song.
And I don't think I know anything about this person. That's the thing. There's just
the first I've heard of her.
And I think I am judging this person by the cover.
I'm just good. That's true.
Yeah, I don't know. Do I buy that she came up with all this? No.
Yeah.
Also, the only reason I'm making a comparison to Grimes is I listened to Grimes' first album, her concept album about Dune lately. And it's the first thing of Grimes where I'm like, fuck, man, she was really into this. This really works for me. Fuck, I struggle with Grimes so much.
I want to ask you, though, even if the whole point, was that she was like, nobody's going to think I'm smart enough to do this. So aren't you just doing that? That's kind of how I'm hearing it, is the problem.
Falling into the classic trap, Kellen.
So the whole point is, as a teenage girls are thought of as the least capable members of society in a lot of ways.
Yes.
They are discounted constantly.
Constantly.
So when I hear that, I'm thinking but because to me, even if she just said, yeah, I had this idea of this vision of what I wanted to do. I don't want to be a singer. I don't know how to write songs. So I had somebody do that. I love this idea. And I want to, I was there when it happened, and other people kind of helped me fill in these pieces. To me, that's still her project. Just because she didn't come up with potentially one or any specific aspect, it's her vision. She's using people to bring it to life, but it's still her vision. And it still would not have happened without her. Yes. And it was, if it was incepted from her, that matters. In fact, if it was the opposite, I wouldn't feel good about it at all. If somebody came to her with this vision and she went, that is a good idea, and then just went and did it, I'd be way let down. That's the piece that matters. So the other pieces, it feels like a focus on detail that doesn't matter and is a little like maybe unfair.
See, I guess that's the part of me that I'm struggling with is, do I believe it? And there is a part of me that as I'm watching this with the money and everything else, as you're telling me this, the more I'm listening and looking at it. And again, this is the same problem you have when you look at a piece of art for too long. At a certain point, you stop believing it because you're just analyzing it too much. And there is a part of me that will need to watch this music video again and then watch the sort of behind the scenes. It's not that I don't believe that she could do it. That's not what I'm feeling. It's more, yes, I do believe that there was a spark of the idea of, oh, wouldn't that be cool? I guess it's more, how elevated is this? Is it art, or is this a fun high school prank? Where is this for me? And that's the sort of barometer that I'm sort of trying to find for myself of like, is this a class thing? Is this a money thing? Is this an art thing? Is this a funny thing? Because there's also a part of me I'm like, I don't think it's actually funny. The part of me that I'm struggling with is the like dunking on people being like, ha ha ha, I did this whole thing. I'm still missing the larger joke of it. Because a part of me would say, no, you keep going. Like, how far can we go? Can we do this? But that's me. That's like the Dada on me that wants it to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So
phase
she did
two,
it over.
the
So
reality
I think
show where somebody tries to take her crown.
yeah.
I think there are, like, if you're getting caught up on that stuff, because to me, again, like, I feel like it's up to her to define what it is.
100%.
And
100%.
she very clearly has defined it as like even the initial article on it, you know, with the reporter that she spoke to, like it was defined that it was like, this is performance art is what this is. And what she was doing, it was not purely a dunk because it wasn't just like a stupid prank. Like there's articles on this. Like this is a thing. This almost feels like an ad campaign more than anything else to me in terms of the level of involvement.
Mm-hmm.
Like she did not just like throw something out there and somebody else ran it. Like she drove it, and this was important to her. So the executions, what arms are used to pull levers, don't matter from my perspective. And she has defined it as such. So we can evaluate it as whether we like what it's doing or not. And I feel like the things you're focusing on are things that, from my perspective, are just small details that could have been executed any number of ways, or things that don't matter within the, unless you're talking about an even higher level of discussion. Like if she did this earnestly, then the money piece, it's not just a flaunting of money. It's not that. She said what it is. And you are now saying whether or not you agree with the amount of money that was put into it.
100%. I 100% agree with you there. It is not a matter of, did she use the money well? Yes. It's it's about my own personal taste with how it's going. I want to be super, super clear. I think for me, the thing that I am struggling the most with is, you nailed it. For me, it is not performance art. For me, it is an ad campaign. And I guess for me, the thing that I'm struggling with is the reason why I'm being critical of it. If it is performance art, then I'm going to critique it and I'm going to rip it to shreds. If it's an ad campaign, beautiful.
Yeah.
But if it's an ad campaign, what is it an ad campaign for? And then again, I get into the, right, if this is an ad campaign, this means that there's a machine behind it with multiple people and money and trying to do this. And that's where I get into the, well, is this an ad campaign? Is this like a truth ad campaign where it's like,
I would call it like a PSA.
Yeah, it's like a PSA.
But it's like a PSA, stop underestimating women. Fuck off. Like it's like that. Like that's what it kind of seems to be. If it's to me, it's dunking on the mostly male hate wave that she's gotten for years for existing. Like because her face is annoying, because they don't like her smile. She gets criticism on that all the time. And then she's fat, comes up over and over and over again. and it's never, and it's kind of one of those, like, not for y'all, obviously, but it's one of those fairly well-known things on TikTok that, no, I mean that y'all didn't know her, but like, it's pretty well known that she's well known as someone that people just really hate her face. They hate her face, they hate her voice, they don't like that she's pudgy or whatever. They're just coming at her, and she just gets inordinate amounts of hate. And she's someone who has for like a long time. So this is a direct response, I think, to that, and also to the low level of expectation, I guess she's felt that she has experienced in her life, because for no reason, as same with the hate, for no reason other than she is a teenage girl.
Yeah.
And that's basically it.
People are terrible.
So I understand that, like, there are definitely other aspects to it, but this is one of those things that for me was just like a solid, I love this, and you're awesome, and this is great and hilarious and awesome. Love.
Yeah, it's interesting, Carolyn, because I guess for me, again, being someone who is not a teenage girl and has never been a teenage girl, it is going to be near impossible for me to put myself in her shoes and understand what that level of hate is and be able to understand that. I am still coming from a level of privilege and approaching it from that level of privilege right there. So I do appreciate the perspective and insight that you are able to bring to the conversation by saying, hey, the reason I like this is a bunch of people hated on this person and underestimated her. And isn't it fucking great that she pulled one on all those people? Like, that's great. Yeah.
Also, I just love somebody who can go in on a fucking joke. Like, yeah, it's not the best music video, but she made a fucking music video and a whole album, and she sung it off key. Like, I don't know if she can sing better than that, but like, part of
it's
it
intentionally,
is the fact that it's intentionally
100%
bad.
intentionally done.
And the fact that the lyrics are so cheesy, the way she smiles and dances, the outfit she's wearing, the dance outfit that she's wearing, all of it is plausible bad.
It's all intentional. Like, the video itself, that was
so smart.
You saw me. I was doing this in the video. I'm like, this video is so bad, and I just wanted to stop at a certain point. And it's like, look, I don't need to watch. It's 30 seconds in. I'm like, no, like, this video is under my skin and is annoying me because it's so
outfits are horrible and just disgusting. Anyway, but that's a good point. I'm not thinking about it as much from some of the side ethical implications. I bought a pen and it's fuzzy, and I bought
a fun fuzzy pen.
Myself. So don't get weirded out that I'm rubbing it on myself.
Oh, please. We know that the edible's turned on.
So you do way weirder things than that. It's fine.
You have? Was I conscious for that?
I think so.
I fall asleep on stream a lot. I don't have, or not on stream, on Zooms and stuff.
Yeah.
On streaming with people. I do it to my girlfriends like every week. I do not have a history of sleepwalking, but you never know. So, anyway, on to the not good thing.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
It's not good. So it's kind of a downer, and I apologize for that. Are you familiar? We've talked about this a little bit, but let's set this up. Are you familiar with I'm not sure how to describe them. They're kind of they're people who very specifically go after usually anti-vaxxers on TikTok. So predominantly it will be people who are anti-vax in some way, and they have very not so ethical means of getting people's personal information. They're almost like anonymous.
Sure.
But they will functionally dox people.
So these are like the nurses who are on TikTok saying, like, I'm a nurse and I work here.
Like
in
the
Angeles.
call out community as a whole could be wrapped into this. And I don't want to like make it weird and like call out any one particular group, but like there's a woman who very specifically finds people to call out for like racism. There is a very prominent Native American man as well who talks about racism a lot and calls people out a lot. There is, I think she's a nurse. I don't know. Or is it supposed to be a pharmacist? I don't know. But she goes after people who like, anti-vax nurses for the most part, but anybody who's like, or like very hardcore Trumpies, it expanded into. There's a whole bunch of them. And they're all friends, or to some extent, they all, have talked. I'm friends with a few of them, friends meaning mutuals, with a few of them, some of the smaller ones. They, as time has gone on, they've started calling out different people for different stuff. One guy called out it was like a UPS guy or like a FedEx guy who said he wasn't going to deliver packages to your door if you had a Biden sign. It was like during the election, I think. And this guy was like, "Oh, are you in your uniform doing that? Interesting. I'm going to I know your name because I found out something. So I'm going to send this to your employer and see how they feel about you doing this," like that level of stuff. And it started expanding from there. If you remember Modern Patriot, was that his name? Postmodern Patriot?
That
something?
Sounds familiar.
Yeah.
He was going after Modern Warrior really hard. That guy. So like people like that guy who would come after this group because they lean very left and, are obviously very pro-vaccine, pro-science, pro-masks, all that stuff. As time has gone on, the breadth has gotten wider to the point where two of these people have been directly involved in helping put a violent man behind bars by kind of gathering information on all his victims and like helping them and literally like going to court with them and like helping them. So they've expanded. But in doing that, especially when you get to the size some of these guys are, like some of them are like over 1 million. They start calling out people more broadly, and it end up being like if somebody obnoxious who's like a tiny account starts going off on them and saying like, "Oh, I hate these people for XYZ reason," they would turn around and make videos about that person. What ended up happening was a woman, also not going to say her name, but a woman was doing that. And by the time I kind of had a vague idea of I never knew who this person was beforehand. She was involved in some other communities. I don't know how the fight started. I assume the smaller account was saying like probably made videos criticizing them all for a bunch of things. But at some point, for some reason, I saw on the larger accounts videos they had made about the smaller account. And that's what made me aware of the situation. That woman then started posting a bunch of videos. I think this all happened in the span of a few hours. They've been going back and forth for a while, like days, but it all happened pretty fast, where she was posting a lot of videos, like literally like very, very intoxicated, and very fast. Just, you know what I mean? Like somebody who's not, shouldn't be online right now. Like go, be somewhere else. And they were still like responding and making fun of her and like all this stuff. Well, not that night, but I think the next night she made an attempt.
Yeah.
And she has been, that I'm aware of, in critical condition ever since. And she wrote a note that very specifically said that called out TikTok bullying as a reason. And messages have come out that are absolutely vile, like from nothing threatening, but like just vile, like horrific stuff coming from like these larger accounts, like in DMs to these small, to her. And of the people who've been called out directly, the two smaller accounts I'm mutuals with, they've kind of stepped away. I think one of them was not actually involved and did not even talk to this woman, did not do anything. So she was like very, very upset about the whole thing. And so she's really not involved. Another one of the smaller accounts, has very much stepped back, is only doing full duets, where you just copy the video of duets of things. And it I think is probably very much not okay. I didn't see any, I feel like it's important to say this, even though it may not make sense to everyone because I'm not naming names. I didn't see any, what I would call vitriol in DMs from either of my mutuals toward this woman.
Yeah.
And one of them didn't even make a video. One of them made videos just being like, what is going on? Like, and she's clearly not okay. But the two larger ones have not addressed it at all. And part of it is because they've been dealing with this court thing around what they consider to be like real things. They've been doxxed in like the last week, or not doxxed, I'm sorry, swatted
Yeah,
in like the last week.
Yeah.
So like right as this, like before this happened. So they were in a very, very high tension, like their families are threatened by that. You know what I mean? Like people can die. And so they're in this very high tension place when they're making these videos that are like going after this woman and when they're sending these horrible things to this woman. And there are, of course, a lot of people trying to be like, they're not going to do something. And I'm just seeing a lot of discussion about, at what point, where does responsibility take over? At what point is fault something that we talk about here? For me, I that's also because this is how I always get myself in trouble. I have generally very much changed. I can't always hold myself to it because it depends on how I am overall from a mental health standpoint. But I had to kind of adopt I'm not engaging people in an actually angry way. Like I will delete comments. I will block people if I need to, if I feel that's necessary. Most of the time I just delete comments if it's necessary, if I feel that I want to, or I just don't engage. Or if I respond, it's always in like somebody in one of my videos where I had a black dress on said, "Why are you wearing a trash bag?" And I just said, "Felt cute." Like, it's just like, that's what you're getting. And then they came back with like this whole, "Oh, okay. I wasn't trying to be weird. I just thought it was it." I'm like, real? Yeah. Tell me what you're doing, trying to.
You weren't?
But that's
Felt cute is a good clap back, by the way.
Yeah.
That's a good clap back.
It's just, but I can't. If you let that, like, even though I'm not, I would call myself at best like a mid-size account. Like, it doesn't seem like a lot when you're constantly like paying attention to bigger and bigger and thinking about that because gamification of everything. But it still is a lot. And even if only like a tiny percentage of the people who follow you or see your stuff like would then get turned around on that, I just feel like I don't know that I could say what that line is, but like when you get to even semi mid-size, you have to stop doing that.
Yeah.
Like you cannot like you just can't. Like there is a level of responsibility you have to not create that much harm.
But I think that's the thing is I think you having perspective of saying I'm a mid-size account, like I think there's a lot of people who just don't have that perspective, don't have the ecosystem mindset to understand what they can and they can't do. And I think Brad and I know plenty of people who we used to spend a lot of time with who all of the ego gets wrapped up, right? Where whatever life they lived before TikTok is gone, and now they are elevated to a level of famousness that allows them to get away with really despicable, gross sort of things. I think
you shouldn't talk about our friends BJ and Mitra like that.
I know we shouldn't. I know we really, really shouldn't. But you know what? They still haven't had me on their podcast.
They've been on with us.
I'm going to dox BJ and Mitra right now because they haven't had.
We've got all their info. It would be.
Got all. I literally have their addresses and their phone numbers. I could. But I think, Caroline, you bring up a great point. Like, there is an ethical obligation to say at a certain point when you have an active audience, you have to do good. And I think that is not inherently something all people are going to be able to bring, because I think some people are going to be so fueled by their ego and all of this sort of, sort of like yes man sort of attitude of like they just get all of this really, really great stuff. Anybody who questions them is such a threat that they are just going to completely try and use that platform to crush them. Hence the reason why we have fucking dictators. Like, this is a great example of like, yeah, like this is what happens when bad people are in power. They fucking will crush anybody who says anything else. It doesn't matter if it's TikTok or a fucking country. They're just going to crush anybody who disagrees with them.
Yeah.
It's very sad.
Yeah, it is. It's left me in kind of a perplexed place as far as how, and I'm forcing myself to really think about, everything related to, I'm not going to say the phrase that everyone says because I don't think it's accurate, but like as it relates to, let's say, accountability.
No.
And I just feel like how do I explain this? I could easily just write them off.
Dave also thinks it's sad.
It is sad.
It is
Thank you
sad,
so
Dave.
much, Dave.
Thank you, Dave. We knew you're a good one, Dave. But I mean, like, I could easily just be like, they're bad people now. Cross off. You know what I mean? But I think they shouldn't be held to that. Say, like, I don't know. Like, I start to think about what they do, and it's like, are we doing good? And it's the sort of thing where it just feels good to go along with it. So I find myself rethinking like the part I play in, potentially very, very negatively enabling people who very, very negatively affect others' lives, or enabling that at all through like, mob accountability or whatever. Cause like, I guess I will say it. Okay. So it's cancel culture, right? But you can only legitimately cancel these regular ass human beings. No one else has been canceled in any real way. It doesn't matter. It did not ruin them. It will not ruin them. It just means they got in trouble for a while.
It'll affect them financially, but it will not ruin their lives. The regular people are the only people whose lives are ruined. Whose lives
can be legitimately ruined. I think about the, we don't need to go on this whole tangent, but like, the woman who was on the flight to South Africa and made the tweet right before she left about like, oh, I'm going to Africa. What if I get AIDS? Just kidding. I'm white. And that, I shouldn't have said that. Somebody's going to screen grab that. I'm going to get destroyed.
That's going to be me. Like, that's going to be on TikTok on my account later tonight. I'll stop doing all the hate TikToks and bullying. Fine.
But like, she lost her whole life over that tweet that in retrospect is so obviously a joke, like, and the right kind of joke. She's making a correct observation about, like, I don't know how I remember being like, wow, shitty thing to say, like legitimately thinking like, wow, what a terrible person. Like, did I not understand what satire is, what jokes are? Like, do I not understand? Like, it's so clearly it's so clearly like a Trevor Noah type statement. Now we can make arguments about whether it's her place to make those types of jokes.
Yeah, that's
for
more
sure. For sure. But that's not how this was done. This was done under the assumption and read that she was saying that legitimately.
Yeah.
What? She not just lost her job, she lost her life for several years. She had to pay people to like rejigger things, so like erase her name from the internet. Like, there are people whose jobs it is to do that. That only happens to regular people.
Yeah.
And I go back and forth because it's like, yeah, I'm mad that a guy at a job decided to threaten to not drop off packages. Would he really do it? Probably not. He wouldn't get away with it. Like if it was constant, maybe he would. Actually, maybe I'm fucking lying. But part of me is like, if you're stupid enough to make a TikTok about that, like the boldness you know, as a liberal, I can't help but just be like, fuck you, you know, like, or not liberal leftist, but you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, there's,
Like, and I think about the woman who said she was like, okay, what if a woman makes a video, one of these creators, like biggest videos is, some woman made a video about how she was making fake vaccination cards, and she was a nurse. And he was like, I found out everything about who you are. That is literally illegal.
yeah.
And dangerous to so many people. What the fuck is wrong with you? And he told her job. He told, like, I think he told like the FBI. Like, it's somehow, it's like, it went, and I see that and I'm like, good. So is that something wrong with me that I need to be correcting? Because technically he just reported her. He didn't take the law into his own hands.
Right.
How did he find her info though? Sometimes they just find it based on the pictures people post, but like, is that doing good? Like, is zooming in and enhance, you know, like, and going through a decade's worth of photos and finding their Instagram and is that doing good?
So here's the thing. This is where I'm struggling with it. Is that good? Yes. Is he making content about it?
Okay.
That's what makes it bad.
Okay.
Right.
If this person was someone who went through TikTok, found this sort of stuff, found authorities, did all this silently, there's no mob behind it, then I truly believe it is good. But if their role is to then make content so that they can get all of the positive dopamine feels for doing the good, then it is no longer good. You are actively hurting other people, whether or not you are morally right. You are involving a mob. It doesn't matter if Frankenstein's monster is going to kill the girl. The fact that we're all going to get a mob together and go kill Frankenstein's monster, we're the monster. We're the problem, right? It's the mob.
It's the good place problem where the intentions are corrupt. It doesn't matter if you're doing a good thing, if you're doing it for shitty reasons.
Yeah.
So that also, so the mob piece, right? There are then instances where the only justice would be social justice, right? Because, like, you know, a woman who owns a real estate business in, I think it was Arizona, somebody who worked for her, or no, a candidate, a Black candidate for a position open in her firm became available. She interviewed, and then somehow somebody CC'd her on an email that she should not have been CC'd on, and it was the like CEO, the woman who owned the small practice, saying, like, basically, like, I told you no Black people.
Mm-hmm.
And the reasoning she gave for this was like, oh, because like there aren't like Black people here and they don't try, you have to it was bullshit. Obviously it was just, she didn't want them, or any reason she had would be based in obviously blatant, like, old school racism, like hilarious, get out of here racism. So name, business page, everything. Let's all just tell her what we think, you know, and let's tell people in the area there what we think. Now, obviously, you can say like a fake review of a establishment is inherently bad.
Mm-hmm.
But in that case, yes, the woman can prosecute, but odds are very little will come of it,
Yes.
right? So the only justice for the most part is social justice, which comes via the mob.
And here's the thing. There is no such thing as social justice, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Social justice is a way that we can, as a society, justify mob mentality, because
Mm-hmm.
it's the same way of saying, yeah, this guy went and did terrible things to this other person, and that's why we all went to his house and murdered him, right? Like, the thing about social justice,
Even if so like assume that obviously this isn't, man, maybe you can't separate it. I mean, if there were no death threats and no physical harm,
I'm just saying it's a very slippery slope. I'm saying that our country,
isn't that a fallacy in argument though?
no, I'm going to bring up, it's not a fallacy in argument. I feel like the problem with social justice, right, is anybody can claim I did it for social justice. You can look at someone like Emmett Till and they can say, we believed that this young boy hurt this white woman.
But we did real harm as a result.
We did real harm. And that's the thing is, it's like the real harm versus digital harm, the rest of it, there are so many other paths that a person could take to try and bring about justice. And the reason I say this is we say we have, as corrupt as they can be, institutions that we should be relying on to allow for real justice to take place, right? When we bring up the example about the real estate agent, you know what? We should go to a news agency and figure this out. We should allow public opinion to influence this, not, hey, let's roast these people. Because to me, this is, and I'm not saying I disagree with cancel culture. I think there's a lot of things that can be positive about it. But I think when we think about social justice, when it comes to people getting on the internet and then using a gauntlet to be able to say, hey, I want to get all my people to come behind me and do this. This is anytime we have a mob, it doesn't matter if it's a positive mob or a bad mob. It is still a bad thing.
What makes putting it on the news different than a TikTok video?
I guess at least in my opinion,
these are all valid, legitimate.
Exactly,
where my brain is questions. By the way, I'm not challenging you.
I believe in the fourth estate, right? The fourth estate, in the sense of we need to have a unbiased group. Right? Again, I fucking hate the media. I think they're so biased. But at the very least, you could say, hey, this has recently been found. This is what's currently going on. You're going to have a journalist who's going to have
neutrality of this.
Exactly.
Okay.
The journalist should have ethics to be able to say, we are presenting the facts to you, the people, and then the people can decide, versus using social platforms to try and get people punished, to try and to hurt people. Because again, it's about social justice is not about justice. It is about hurting people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Again, I that's why I make this caveat to say, if someone finds a nurse is making fake vaccine cards, or we got this UPS driver who's discriminating against certain people, great. Let's find those people. Let's get them fired because they're not doing their job. But the moment I make content about it, that's where I think, no, it's not about. You're not doing this for good. You're in fact. Like to me, it's a Garth Ennis a graphic novel, right? It feels it's like, right, Superman's not out there being like, yeah, I saved this person. Great. Look at, I'm the best. It's just like,
he did The Boys, right?
It's The Boy. Exactly. It's with The Boys, right? Like, it's just like, right? Like, I don't want to do that. Like, this is a whole episode in and of itself, Caroline. I'm kind of like,
why did you transmit?
Next week, does journalism exist?
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the thing. It's like, I'm bringing this up in a way, and as I'm saying it, I'm like, yeah, but Kellen, you don't trust the fucking media. Like, the reason people are going to social media is because they don't trust the justice system. They don't trust social media. They don't trust the platforms where people were supposed to go to seek justice. So they're seeking justice in their own hands. We're in the fucking wild, wild west. Dangerous. It's crazy.
Very dangerous.
Y'all,
you guys want to watch a stupid video?
Yes, of course we do, Brad. Yes, of course we do.
Excellent.
My favorite segment.
It better be relevant, Brad.
Better be relevant to the very broad conversation we were just having.
I mean, kind of, in a way, I guess, sort of. It's a classic.
Okay, so
hell yes.
Yes.
I love this video.
Sweet bird, you might say. Round. All right. Ruling out the ice caps melting, meteors becoming crashed into us, the ozone layer leaving, and the sun exploding. We're definitely going to blow ourselves up. Okay. Basically, we got China, France, India, Israel, Pakistan, Russia, the UK, and us with nukes. We've got about 2,600 more than anybody else. Whatever. Anyway, one day we decide those Chinese sons of a bitches are going down. So we launch a nuke at China. While it's on its way, China's like, shit, who the fuck is shooting us? Oh well, fire missiles. Then France is like, shit, guys, we got the missiles, they are coming, fire our shit. But then let's fire. Well, have a nap. Then fire the missiles. Meanwhile, Australia is down there like, WCF, mates. India, Israel, and Pakistan launched their shit, so now we've got missiles flying everywhere, passing each other. Russia's like, motherland! Then England's like, about that time, eh, chaps? What up? So now the US is like, fuck, we're dumbasses. Canada's like, what's going on, eh? Australia's still like, WTF. Mars is laughing at us, and some huge meteor is like, well, fuck that. So now we've got nuclear winter. Everyone's dead except Australia. And they're still like, WTF. but they'll be dead soon. Fucking kangaroos. But assuming we don't blow ourselves up, us Californians just have to worry about California breaking off from the United States to go hang with Hawaii. Alaska can come too. The end.
So good.
It's so good.
Just a
So
classic.
good. Such a classic. Like the internet just sucks these days compared to that.
What's the fight one? Oh my god, it's like a music video sort of thing.
Oh, with all the celebrities.
And like the Blue Meanie and like a bunch of cartoons. And yeah, that one. I feel like I saw those roughly around the same time. That song
Remember around the same.
was a
The same
banger.
era of internet nonsense. Anyway, that was a great episode.
Yo, I'm so glad we're back.
Thanks, Dave.
Happy New
for
Year.
watching.
Happy New Year to you all
Happy
and
New
to Dave. I mean, I will have a whole nother conversation about the mob and like
do it.
I'm just like I'm pumped. I'm pumped about this.
About the mob.
About the
my
mob.
God. I was thinking for some reason because Bryn no work, I was like organized crime. Like
That too.
No, I hate organized crime. Organized crime sucks.
Yeah, it's almost as bad as
I-
journalism. Anyways,
Thank-
see you next week,
Ayo.
everybody.
Bye.